So you recently wrote a column. The title of it was, I don't want my kids to wear masks at school. And not surprisingly, it brought out a lot of feelings among readers. There was a lot of response to your piece. So just tell me about the piece and why you wrote it.
All right. So at the end of June, at the end of last school year, I said publicly, look, don't complain that your child has to wear a mask for another week or two at school. It was very hot in June. I said, because we just have 2 weeks left. No big deal. We'll hit the summer. And next year, meaning this school year, September 2021, everything will be normal. And I was wrong. And everything is not normal. And my children and everyone's children in New York State are wearing masks to school. And I don't want my kids to have to wear masks. But it's not because I'm an anti-masker or anything like that. It's just because, to me, the mask represents a failure for all of us as a society. It suggests we couldn't support one another, we couldn't get it together, and then here we are with the record number of infections again, hospitalizations, children in hospitals, things like that. And I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed in us. I'm disappointed that kids have to wear masks, and I'm disappointed for everybody.
So tell me, give me some of the highlights of the comments and the notes that you received from readers.
Well, some people said, I would say the biggest supports were people who were teachers or who had family members who were teachers. And they said, thank you so much. Look, my so-and-so is a teacher, but he or she is still in a high risk group, or this person, or I'm a teacher and I hate having to kind of not fight with the parents, but debate this with the parents or whatever. And seeing your article makes me realize, okay, this is happening. And then the other one was, so many people wrote me and said, I feel the same way. I know the mask is the right thing. I have my children wear a mask, but I'm so disappointed we are here. And I would say that those are the 3 categories of positives that I got. Now, the negative emails, as you might expect, most of them were somewhat respectful. Some, of course, offered personal attacks on my writing, my journalism skills, my appearance, all those fun things that people like to target. And then that happened.
That had nothing to do with the column that you wrote, obviously.
Absolutely nothing. Like, you need more sun, you're too pale and pasty, or whatever, you're this. I'm like, okay, perhaps that's true, but it has nothing to do with what I wrote. So whatever. But anyway, that happens. That's part of the public job. So, but I would say the overwhelming thing in the negatives were people arguing why they didn't choose to get the COVID vaccine, which is fine. But my article wasn't about that. It was about children wearing masks. I wrote back to some people and I said, well, what did you decide for your child at school with masks? And then there was either silence, or people would say, well, I don't have kids at school, but I don't think kids should have to wear masks. Or I don't have any connection to school. I'm not a teacher. I don't have anyone who works in a school, but kids shouldn't be wearing masks because it's repressive and stifling and all that kind of thing. And I really do believe this is one of those situations where, unless you have children in school or have children, or you are somehow working in a school, associated with a school, you can have an opinion, but it doesn't really matter what your opinion is.
Now, you also encountered, and as you've said, we've encountered this regularly on, any outlet is going to encounter this these days, is a lot of misinformation that people are throwing out there very publicly on, say, our Facebook page or our Twitter feed or wherever. Like, how are you processing that? How do you deal with that?
So I think in the beginning, because obviously COVID's been going on around here for 18, 19, 20 months. In the beginning, I would get very frustrated and I would sit there and fact check and send them links and say, here's why you're wrong, and here's why you're wrong, here's why you're wrong. But I have learned that when people believe something strongly, you're not going to change their mind. So I think it's to say, hey, look, you can stand where you stand, you can have your opinion, but here are links to, maybe I'll give a link to the CDC or things that are facts that you can't argue with. Like, here are hard numbers that you cannot debate. You may debate the percentages or whatever, but you can't debate a number of deaths. You can't debate a number of hospitalizations or people in the ICU, which obviously is a hospitalization, things like that. You can't debate a number of positive cases. So I'll just send them that and say, look, have your opinion, here's mine, you're welcome to it. But you get to a point where you realize they just want an argument and they want to fire you up and they want to, create dissent. And I'm not going to get into that. The other thing, though, I will say a lot of people had a problem with was the headline. And it went both ways. There were people who read the headline, which is, Kristi, I don't want my children to wear masks in school. Some people read it, got excited, right? People who are anti-mask were like, yes, she's going to agree with me. Let me read this. And then the people who are in favor of masks in school, which I am one of those people. They were disappointed because they were concerned that people would only read the headline, assume that someone like me who has a voice and a platform is against masks, and then would make more people feel that way because they would say, well, Kristi from the Times-Union feels that way. Well, no, I don't. And I don't think I can bow down to people who only read the headline. But I also understand the point of how people who only read the headline may have perceived the story to be one way when it was another.
Sure. And in this era of social media, a lot of people are scrolling and they'll see it and then, might not have time to read the article or might choose not to read the article. I don't know. There's a lot going on these days.
I think it's similar to back in April. I wrote a column on my choice of whether or not to get vaccinated. And the headline was why I changed my mind on the COVID-19 vaccine. So again, it doesn't say if I changed my mind in favor of getting it or if it changed my mind and didn't get it. I did get it. But it just kind of encourages people to read rather than just look at a headline and get, to use a popular word these days, to get triggered by a headline. So
Sure.
you can get upset by the headline, but I don't think you can come at me when you've only read the headline. I think you need to read the whole story and then tell me I'm wrong. And then that's fine.